Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Back of House Banter. You'll all know me, Amy Branford, from this series. I work for GuestRevu, and today we're going to be looking at SEO. And today, to help us with that, is Mark from Clockwork Marketing. Mark, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Mark. I am the marketing manager at Clockwork Marketing. We are hospitality marketing specialists in the UK, so we work with hotels. But my background, yeah, got broad marketing background, but my specialism is mostly in Google and SEO, getting found online, other areas around websites, and general branding and strategy. First and foremost, I'm a human being. So before being an SEO robot, and actually my nickname in the office is Mark GPT for some reason. But anyway, we'll go past that because when I don't have an answer, it's just sort of like so SEO is SEO, search engine optimization. It's a really clunky, sounds more scary word than it actually is. I just like calling it getting found on Google. There are other search engines out there, Yahoo, Bing, Baidu, DuckDuckGo, Ecosia. There's loads out there. The reason we say Google is Google's got the majority of the global online search share. In the UK, it's 94%. So 94% of the population, if they were to make a search online on a search engine, it's likely going to be Google. So I just call it getting found in Google. It's a lot easier to understand.
So, what are the key stages of the guest discovery process online that really help you impact that SEO with Google and all of those things?
Yeah, I mean, getting inside of the mind of a human for first and foremost is really important. I know we're working with online, with Google, with, algorithms. We'll touch on algorithms maybe later, but it's trying to get into the sort of the mind of the online guest searching for their next trip. Google actually did its own research. They call it the sort of five stages of guest travel or the travel journey. And it starts off with dreaming. So everyone's all got dreams, I hope. Things they want to do, places they want to visit, get those all important photos to share online. So people have those aspirations. So the first stage always starts with dreaming. Once people sort of go online, they search, people search online in different ways. Then it sort of moves into like, right, I found the place or I've shortlisted down to a few places I want to go to. I'm sure we've all done that at some point. And then we want to turn those dreams into concrete plans. And so the next stage inevitably is planning. So it's all about creating those itineraries, places, and timings, and when we're going to do what we're going to eat, where we're going to do this and that, and how we're going to get there. It's all of those things. So the planning comes into play at that point, which again is really important for a marketer to understand online and not just be at the dreaming stage. You need to also follow through into the planning phase. Then that next step goes into booking, of course, where people want to actually, go through and put their credit card details in, the most important part for a lot of hoteliers, because
Ching,
we don't
ching.
want them to just stay as dreams. We want them to actually book. And then it finally gets onto experiencing, and then afterwards it's sharing, and it's more of a cycle really than it is a flat linear line. You want them to then really come back to their dreams and look on to the next bit that they want to do, or dream again, come back again, sort of thing. So I think people sort of realize they don't just want things. We've got too many things, and people want to experience. They want to create lasting memories, and do things that have got a rich and deep sort of meaning to us. And so it's not just having things. It's going to places, experiencing it. Things that you'll take with you forever. And so yeah, wherever your property is, what's on your doorstep, what activities are around. And there's lots of data and research out there that talks about, and a lot of guest sentiment. We call it guest insights or human insights. Don't really like to call it research. I mean, research is quite a hard word, but human insights, understanding people. We want to do stuff, and we're all people ourselves. So like, it's not that far out of reach to just go, well, what do I want to do? As a human, it's very much the same. So
Like you will be impacting your SEO already and not even realizing it in some ways, Mark. So like just
Yeah.
responding to like your online reviews, that's going
Yes.
to impact your SEO, right? It's going to give you
Yeah.
a better online visibility.
So the reviews are really interesting, and I think they're actually like you're going to like this, but they're playing a bigger part in a sort of a more effective SEO strategy now more than ever, really, with the onset of AI and artificial intelligence. It's sort of like um, if I went online, so go back to the stages of travel, right? I've got this dream. I really want to go to the Grand Canyon over in the States. We're going to go to the Grand Canyon. Where am I going to stay? I'm sure there's going to be loads of stuff online there. So I'm going to make a search for what is the best, self-catering accommodation in near the Grand Canyon in this particular place. Really specific, but I'm now searching for the best of this. Google wants to provide some relevant results, and actually reviews play a big part in relevant results. This is what others have been saying online about this place. And so it's going to be pulling up results and saying, based on reviews and based on the quality and, how many reviews have been received, this property is coming out on top. And you'll notice that there's a lot of AI overviews now in Google, particularly you'll search and it's not just providing you a listing of results. It's now combining loads of different sources and it's summarizing it and still citing those sources. And reviews play a part of that. That people are reviewing you as a good place to stay. It's not just because like we've all got our own biases, right? I can just say I'm the best
Yeah.
place. I'm the best place to stay in this area. It was like, well, no, actually, that's not for you to say. It's for your guests to say whether it's the best or not. And Google likes that sort of content because they're like, it's not come from you, it's from other people who have said it about you. So that gives me even more confidence in providing a result. So yeah, hugely important. Get your reviews online. Also, like just the way people purchase stuff online. Like, great, I'm ready to buy, but I want to check the reviews first because someone might say it's absolute crap. And, you know, I'm just going to leave it now. So really, really important. Reviews can really switch or change people's decision points.
And I
Um,
think and you don't have to throw money at that, right?
no,
Like, your guests are going to naturally leave reviews. You're typically going to find that the happy guests will leave reviews and the unhappy guests will leave reviews as well. That's where a guest feedback solution comes in to make sure that
yeah,
you maximize the volume, and get better scores, flush your negative ones off. Do those management responses so it impacts your SEO. I know, Mark,
yeah,
you touched on websites, you know,
yeah,
right? Hoteliers and websites, right? They all want direct bookings. Absolutely
yeah,
every hotelier. Understandable. So OTAs have their place, right? But if they land
yeah,
on your website, you want them to make that booking. So show your reviews there, because if you don't have reviews displayed on your website, they're going to fall off, look back at bookings.com and make that decision to book.
yeah,
Um, and don't be frightened to utilize other businesses that are local and in the area that will offer that experience, because that's going to
100%.
get more people coming in. That's your opportunity to slip in that experience and kind of
Yeah,
really become a community. Like, just because you're a hotel with a hotel down the road doesn't mean that you have to be direct competition. You can utilize, different businesses, if it's hiking or if it's bird watching or if it's, sea kayaking, get together with your local community and actually really sell that experience, because the more people you get in, the more profitable they're going to be as well. So then you have a
yeah,
thriving community, I think is
yeah, absolutely. And with those experiences, it's also don't try be what you're not. So because that's just like an anti-climax. You get there and you're like, oh, I thought it was this and it's not. The other side though of it as well is like, who are your target audience? Because there's no point trying to appeal to an audience that don't actually come to you unless your strategy is that you're trying to attract a different type of audience. That's a different story. But look at who your audience are, what they actually want to do, and then what is on your doorstep. Be true to yourself. Don't try copycat others or try to be something you're not.
Hoteliers are probably sitting there thinking, well, how do I get that research? How do I understand that? So you can use your reviews. So, what's being said about you online through bookings.com, Google, but you can also ask the right questions in your surveys and understand your demographic, your age range, and that sort of information. So, hoteliers are great because they have a lot of information through the PMS. They have a lot of information through a CRM or through their website, who's looking at their website and that sort of thing. So
Mm.
it's really important to look at that data and understand it, take the time, and then do your marketing plan according to, where are your visitors coming from? What language do they speak? What are they wanting to see? What are they visiting? How long are they staying? All of those sorts of things. And you guys all have that data. You can
Mm.
also work with companies like Clockwork, where they'll do a lot of that analysis for you. So
Yeah, we call them data divas. They are the people who like to look at lots of numbers and pull out the patterns and trends.
yeah, data diva. I like that. I'd like to be a data diva. But I think before we move any further, I am really keen on some of the SEO myths that are out there, and I'm quite
Ooh.
keen to see you debunk some of them. So hit me with it, baby.
Yeah. Okay, where to start? I mean, SEO, I call it a bit of a diamond. It's very multifaceted. There's lots of faces and angles to it. And a lot of the time people sort of are a bit standoffish from it, particularly like, yeah, hoteliers who are sort of just so busy in the day-to-day operations of running a hotel or a property and, making sure that that's all working smoothly. Uh, and then you've got the other side of your pipeline, trying to get new guests in, fill up your occupancy. And it's sort of like, right, let's look at marketing. And then it's like, well, where can we go to for marketing? And often enough, people go to social media, email marketing, and they will go to their website to a degree, but it's just a website and it's very much instant gratification, what you can see, that sort of thing, or maybe it's just a tick box, we're just trying to tick a box. But SEO, yes, it's a long-term strategy, but SEO is also the biggest driver of online bookings for hotels. So over 70% we see for our clients that we measure and track with booking engines, revenue will come from a Google search online when someone searches for a very specific phrase. And so I think one of the myths really to debunk is that SEO is scary and it's my last port of call because all the other stuff is so easy to start with or easier to start with. And SEO is scary and I don't want to go and SEO is expensive. What we do see is that SEO is the biggest return on investment, full stop. Lots of data to back it up. It is more just about taking that sort of approach of, finding the right partner to work with to do that. But also there is this myth that you have to have like a very data heavy website and not a nice visual one. That's like a big myth as well. And also, yeah, I think one of the other myths that I would probably pick out of the many is that how quick it works. So people think it's like, oh, I need a booking like in 2 or 3 months' time. Like I need to start filling that occupancy up, and SEO is not going to cut the mustard because it's going to take me ages. Well, actually, no, that's not the case. Google's working a lot quicker now. It's picking stuff up a lot quicker. It's scanning a lot quicker.
So SEO doesn't really have to be really, really expensive to kind of
No.
impact. You can start off small if you're a smaller property. And then,
Yeah.
Mark's going to tell us how you gear up on the SEO and what the next step would be.
It's about getting the fundamental essentials really in place. The things that you really need to get grounded in place are those elements that surround your website first, your online presence, what Google can see. And so, yeah, there's a loads of different areas that this goes into because Google is, as I said, it's like this diamond that's just got so many different angles. And, Google's changing algorithms every day. Algorithms are basically just systems set in place that help to find information online. I always view Google a little bit like a librarian. Um, Use your imagination what that librarian's like, but Google is a librarian and it's got this massive library called, its index. Someone searches for a result, searches for a particular thing, and the librarian goes, "Oh yeah, I know just the place to point you towards for that." And really, Google sort of collects loads of different ranking factors, different elements of your website. So making sure your website's quick is a ranking factor. You want to be targeting keywords, of course. We've heard the thing keywords. You don't want to be sticking too many keywords in your website because then Google go, "Oh, that's a bit spammy. You don't like that anymore." You need to be targeting relevant phrases, making sure your content is not AI written, it is written human, it's written unique on your website, making sure you've got the right headings, your meta titles and descriptions. Now, that's as techy as I want to get. So if I search online on Google and a result comes up in the blue link I see, that is your meta title. It's the how you actually visibly display in Google. You can actually alter and change that yourself. Sometimes Google overrides it, which is a bit annoying, but mostly you have control. So from your website platform, whatever content management system you use, you should be able to edit and control that. And really, you're putting in your key phrases into that meta title. It's a little bit like an email, subject line, inbox preview. That's what your meta title and your meta description are. You can control and sort those out, but you need to make sure that it's relevant. You've got the right content in there. You're hitting the right keywords. And the keywords really are about doing research. Yes, you will need to use some sort of tools, or maybe you might need to reach out to an agency or a freelancer. They're the people who sort of look at this stuff all the time. They know what works well and what people are actually searching for. So they're sort of like essentials. Getting that right, making sure you've got the right technology on your website is hugely important as well.
Yeah.
Google sort of looks at all of that too. And I mean, there's a list of stuff, Amy.
That's the thing that gets me, and that's what makes it scary for people that, you'll speak to one person about SEO and they will tell you this thing. Then you speak to another person and they would do it this way. I think it's finding, a happy medium. What do you want to achieve? How are you
Yeah.
going to achieve that? How much budget do you have to achieve that? Obviously, if you've got money and you can work with a reliable agency, that's going to take a lot of the pressure off of you, and it's going to get those results a lot quicker than figuring it out on your own. But I also think Mark has given everybody enough details to go, okay, well, actually, I can start with the small things. I can understand, my reviews are impacting my SEO. I can go and edit my website. I can look at my booking journey. I can look at the messaging that my guests are getting. I can look at pushing more reviews. So there are really simple things for properties that maybe don't have the big budget like others. And then there are those that do have a bit of budget that it is definitely worth investing that money
Mm.
to actually see that impact coming back. And as Mark said, once you've got that plan in place, you can see results a lot quicker today than you did pre-COVID, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think just one of the caveats really with it all is, you can, when you say you have a budget, to a certain degree, you can get a return on that. As in, like with SEO, it's sort of like, well, how much do you do? Well, you can do as much or as little as you like. The rewards are going to come in sort of comparison to how much more you put into it. So those that do a lot more and have supporting marketing activity tend to get much better results. The caveat is consistency.
Yep.
It's not just bit of SEO, da 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 da, right, 4 or 5 months, going to leave it, and then come back to it. Bit of SEO, da da da. It's just going to be like that. I like analogies, Amy. So
Go
it's
for
always a lot easier for me to process in my head. But it's like shaking up a Coke bottle. It gets fizzy all of a sudden, and you're all excited, and it's great, and then you just leave it, but then it just goes flat. That's what happens with SEO. If you just do it and then you leave it, it's going to go flat. So the main thing is consistency, just regularly tapping into it, responding to your reviews, updating your content, adding new blog articles or whatever it might be, writing about your area, experiences that you can do, giving people things to dream about. And then also here's how you can plan. This is like the ultimate guide to planning your trip here. So now we're giving them some tools to say, this is how you can turn your dreams into concrete plans. Oh, also, if you do choose to stay, this event's on, or, think about doing this. Here's a supplier who can do that. You're really helping to make the decision for people. So you need to just take the weight out of it. Remember, like you're the expert of your area. You're like the local guide. That's all it is. It's just consistency in providing seasonal ideas, seasonal content, regularly responding to reviews, just staying in touch. And then once you get into that flow, it's just going to do really great things in terms of your marketing. We often get people turn up to us and we'll look at the data and we'll see, oh, well, what was that spike? And they're like, oh, yeah, we did a bit of marketing there. And then they're like, well, what happened there? And it's like, well, we just stopped or we just didn't have time. It's like, well, yeah, it's just one of those things. And it's difficult for a hotelier because you've got to balance things with, how the industry is in the market, understand that completely. But, those that do invest in marketing, and again, those that just put the time aside are the ones that tend to pivot the most and do the best um, in terms of performance.
Yeah, so I think the message really is figure out a plan that you're willing to invest your time, have a short-term goal, have a long-term goal, and then make it manageable. Like nobody got into the hotel or hospitality industry going, this is going to be a really easy job, right? Like nobody ever said that. If they did, they're not in the hospitality industry anymore.
Well, whatever their secret is, they need to bottle it up and sell it.
Yeah, so I think, everything is difficult in some degree. It's the harder you work, the luckier you get, right? And I think there, you mentioned a little bit understanding your area just now. And I think competitors is really important in that. What are your competitors doing online? And you can search that manually by putting them into Google and reading their reviews and doing it that way. You can also use a system like GuestRevu to consolidate it. And what that will do is that will give you the inside scoop. What are they doing really well? Where am I sitting within my local market? Where am I sitting within my international market? And those sorts of things. Those will help you define your story and what plans you can put in place to really kind of maximize your SEO. Would that
Yeah.
be a fair comment, Mark?
Yeah, well, I think this one's sort of like, yeah, two sides to a coin really, because there's two ways of doing it. I mean, very traditional like way of marketing is, yeah, understanding your competitors and understanding what they're doing because they are the ones you're competing against, or they're the other options at least on the table. So from a strategic point of view, in my strategic mind, if you're all in a crowded marketplace and you're competing against them, well, what are other people really enjoying about that particular competitor that they're not enjoying about you? Okay, can we correct that? Why they're choosing that? So we can do that. And then there's also what aren't they doing that we are, that we can talk more about and, really start to bring that up. The other side of the coin really is this sort of blue ocean strategy thing where you think, well, actually, my competitors are all in this space here. I don't want to be in that space. I want to be in my own open space and do something completely different. That's often where you find a lot of purpose-driven businesses are operating because they're doing something where they're the only supply for it. They're the only one who offers that. And then if you can get reviews from that, it's really good. It's called Finding Your Nemo. It's your nothing else matters, only the O, and that O is the bullseye. It's that one thing that
Yeah.
really separates you from your competitors. And so there's the sort of two sides of the coin. I mean, we do competitor intelligence reporting, so we will look at how competitors are ranking and performing in Google. And it is good because, if you're not doing it, then they are, and they're going to
Yeah.
be visible. So you do really need to start to look at that in that logical way and how Google pulls reviews together, because again, it's going to say more people are reviewing this, a lot higher quality, and therefore we're going to give them more prominence and visibility in Google. But then there's also the other side of it. Well, it's like, well, no one else offers this, so they're the only option. So I
Yeah.
have to show them.
I think we saw a lot of people doing that after COVID, right? Like business, like if you managed to survive COVID as a hotel or a travel industry business. So a
Yeah.
lot of them had to change that strategy straight after COVID because, they needed to fry it up. We saw pubs in
Mm.
the UK doing working spaces. And so instead of being like an office environment, you could go and do your meetings or you could just go and work and be around people, but work remotely. So I think, have a bit of courage to be who you want to be, to understand, we do this really, really well. Nobody else does that. Then sell that story, guys, and ask
Yeah.
guests about it so they write it in the reviews. Like, it doesn't have to just be about what their room was like or the location of the property. You've got those old school questions that come from the OTAs, like location, cleanliness,
Yeah.
all of those sorts of things. But I think there's so much more of it that's important. Like, what was the highlight of your stay? Which staff member impacted it? Like, there's so
Yeah.
many things that go into an experience.
It is sticking to your guns though, Amy, because like you said at the beginning, like independence, I think people are more interested in independent and boutique and individual than just chains. Like if it is chain, there's either going to be a reason, it might be corporate or it might be based on price. It's there's going to be reasons why people book, but people are really looking after the sort of independent and boutique and those really like individual and different
Yeah.
businesses. And the stat is, I'm going to try to pull this out of my head. Um,
Do, do, do.
66%, I think it is, of millennials will prefer to buy from companies that have ethical values or ethical values that are similar to theirs. And so part of those ethical values are, well, you need to say those, you need to communicate them through your website, content that you create. You need to talk about it so then people know about it. Like they can't read your mind or like you just put it behind the closed door. Like be open, be very honest and put that out there. And millennials, they've been working now for quite a while, so they've got a disposable income. They've got, well, hopefully they've got, some money to spend on where they're going, but they're being more thoughtful about where they're going to go. It's not just that'll do. They are being more thoughtful. So, yeah, reviews hugely important.
I think they're a lot more adventurous, so experience is so important, like from the reviews point of view. So don't be frightened to ask people about their experiences and make it relatable. Don't just make it a checklist, like rate us one
Mm.
to five. You need that,
Yeah.
but you also need to understand, where did we stand out? Where did we shine?
Yeah. And like you said, don't just offer one way to do it because some people won't like it that way. Like give them options on how to review or how to, you know, leave their feedback. Choose your way. It's very much about giving control into the customer and to the guests to choose how they would like to feedback or what's easy. Like again, reduce the barriers, make it easy, make it simple, and you'll get what you want from it. Um,
We've discussed like what a digital first impression is. Like that's making sure that your website's quick and easy, and that the booking journey is nice and easy, and that you leverage your reviews, and understand, what are your unique selling points, and don't be frightened to brag about them. Like whatever you can, sell that story.
yeah, yeah. No, I think all of those things are really great. We usually highlight that there's three really, well, from a marketing point of view, you might say think different, Amy, but from our point of view, most important assets that you really have is your people, your actual venue itself, because that's where people come to, and for us online is your website. You need to really nurture and take care of your website. Some other people might say online presence and make it very broad. There's loads of other things that you can pull into that, but making sure that you do have that, because as a hotelier, if your goal is to reduce your reliance on OTAs, taking a cut of commission, really the direct booking strategy is going to be your sole focus. So now you need to underpin, like, how are we going to do that? And actually your website becomes your own direct booking ecosystem, really. So making sure you've got a really great website, it's quick, it looks great as well. And this is another myth, really, Amy, to leave sort of at the end, is people, yeah, think that just a great looking website is going to do it and is going to, bring results. And for some brands, it does. For some brands, it does, because they've got a strong brand reputation, and perhaps it is word of mouth and their reviews that have helped to support that. But that doesn't come overnight. It does take time to build up a strong brand. And they will naturally pull more direct bookings. So I'm thinking, for those who are thinking, how do I get more direct bookings? Well, it's probably those that don't necessarily have a stronger brand than others. So then it comes to, well, how do you get your website to work well? And Google is, for us, going to be the channel that you do that. And so you really need to have a website that, yes, it looks great, but also has a fantastic engine behind the bonnet. It needs to perform well. Google needs to love it. And so, finding a good provider of a website is really important. But then as sort of, it's not just having a website, you need to support it with all of that other consistent activity. Um, but yeah, even if you've got a small team, Amy, as well, at hotels who's a small team, maybe they might not be directly involved in, marketing. As a hotel manager or revenue manager or operations manager, can you spot a little bit of something in, maybe younger staff or someone who has something where, they can just respond to a review, for an hour or two on a Wednesday afternoon, finding people like that, just to do that a little bit at a time. And then you'll find the gaps where you feel like, well, this is way over my head. I need to approach someone to help me with my review systems, or it's not manageable. I need something that's clever like GuestRevu to help me do that. Or, we need to find someone who understands all this SEO gobbledygook, and they can deal with it, so I don't have to worry about it. So understand your limits and understand where there are gaps, and then seek advice from
Needed.
experts, because that is ultimately going to help you. But where you can, think about your team, draw them in, make them feel involved. Little steps at a time, but consistency is absolutely key.
Yeah, and I also think, like, don't just go and throw tech at everything. Just think
Mm.
about what you want your guest journey to be, or how you want your process to be. Start with a
Yeah,
provider. Maybe that's typically like your PMS, because that's the heart of your business. Is it doing what you need it to do? So start with one piece of tech that you really, really like and works really well for you, and then
yeah.
see what technology fits into that. And then, get advice from people that know what they're talking about, like Mark. He's amazing, absolutely amazing, guys. So if you do have marketing questions and things like that, I will put a link to Mark in the comment section somewhere, so you can reach out to him on LinkedIn. Mark, thank you so much for joining me today. Your insights have been absolutely phenomenal. I'm sure we're going to do another back of house banter series, and we'll dive into that more technical stuff. But thanks so much for joining me, Mark, and thank you for all the insights.
Oh no, it's been fun. Thank you so much.
Awesome. We'll catch up soon.